Hello everyone, I hope that you are doing fine. I hope that you are having a great summer. Here in Norway we have very warm and pleasant days full of sun and hope. I wish the same for you. I would like to talk a bit about a topic which some of you might have heard about it, and it is again about relationships. Why is it so difficult for people, for example, those who have been victims of domestic abuse and violence, to leave their relationships in spite of being aware of the destructive nature of their relationships? Well, this is a universal experience and may affect everyone who has been exposed to abuse over a long time in different levels. Relationship is about living in an emotional ecosystem where two persons' brains, relational and habitual networks get connected and intertwined. So leaving a relationship, regardless of being toxic or healthy, will not be always easy, because it is about a sophisticated constellation of emotional and psychological factors, and in some sense our brain associates a breakup with a great loss. It is like putting much effort into building a valuable construction and then deciding to destroy it. It costs a lot for the brain and our entire system to just let it go and adjust itself to it. It means that the brain and whole biopsychological ecosystem should be rewired and then start repairing itself gradually. This will be very expensive and somewhat scary. Our system functions in a budget-friendly way and is willing to spare energy and prevent losing psychological energy unnecessarily. It is complicated. There are, as mentioned, multiple factors that play a role in our ability or in inability to take an action, such as fear of abandonment, fear for exposure to something scary and unknown, low sense of self-esteem, especially when you come from a traumatic past or have got ingrained unconscious reaction patterns which drive your preferences, your behaviors and your choices. And in addition, some people have it really hard to manage unpleasant feelings such as grief, sorrow, disappointment, shame or guilt, or feel that they will never be able to manage their lives alone, as they are dependent and have been living in a toxic codependency dynamics since they were a little child. So trauma bonding is a real thing. You cannot overcome your fear of being alone and vulnerable unless you have really resolved the previous trauma blueprints in your body. I have met many people, both women and men, who expressed regret on not leaving their relationships earlier. Interestingly, most of them were not able to recognize it before a few years later after separation. I see this as a sign of growth actually, because when you ask this question, you are relating yourself to your past in a different way. You are feeling that it was a pity that you could not be able to do something revolutionary for your life. So it is an indication that you are communicating through a healthier version of yourself now, because now you can see what is healthy and what is constructive to do, and you wished a younger version of yourself to do so. I remember that my client confessed that she was just unable to break through and set herself free from her ex-relationship, although she was facing maltreatment and she was aware of that, and she was exposed to abuse on a daily basis. And this was due to her fear to become alone and having no one to protect her again, and also due to economical issues she had at that time. So it was just hard for her to drop, bonding with her manipulative man, because she at that time felt that she really cared about him. She was terrified by the thought that losing him will impact her life tremendously. But at the time she talked about this with me, she could understand that it was just the result of manipulation and mental and psychological abuse. Usually it takes a long time for people to come out from a toxic relationship, and this is a research-based finding. And normally the brain makes a lot of catastrophic scenarios in relation to leaving option, such that oh no, you're going to miss all the sweet memories with him or her, or that your partner has been your savior and caretaker. You cannot be so ungrateful towards such a person who has done plenty of good things for you, and so on. But during time, many of them will gradually understand that this has to be sorted out and released, this kind of trauma response. Many report that they have gone through the dilemma of living and staying millions of times over and over in their head, and at the end of the day, they decided to leave, because not living at its ultimate term meant to collapse for them. So some use the strategy of recalling painful memories in order to make a balance among their chaotic and confusing thoughts and the concerns and the pressing load of memories and materials which associated with good quality in that relationship. I remember also that I was told by my same client that her friend reacted on my client's husband's unfriendly attitude toward her in a party, and told her that how on earth you could allow him to treat you like this. And following this occasion, my client started to think more seriously about separation as a real option. In many cases, there is an external factor that triggers the drive or facilitates the process. So I believe that we know deep down what is right, what is fair and good for our lives, but our traumas and emotional wounds and codependency issues hinder us from going ahead and making a change. And the longer time we are in such a negative loop of thoughts and actions, the deeper hole of despair we will fall into. And this is not strange, because the red flags in psychologically destructive relationships do not appear constantly and very vividly. They appear every now and then. They whisper through your soul. You may feel that something is off. You can get bad gut feeling. And through time, you start doubting your truth and getting absorbed in confusion and uncertainty, feeling unsafe, walking on eggshells, and developing a negative sense of identity and self. And this is about the result of being exposed to manipulation over a long time. I understand the inability to take an action to leave as pathological need for control, controlling our surroundings, life frameworks, our future, and also our internal world, by blaming ourselves, by protecting the abuser in our thoughts from being accountable for the disaster these toxic people may make for us. And beneath this control need lies fear. Actually, I believe whenever we feel we are in need for having excessive control and predict possible situations, we are feeling scared. We are trying to protect ourselves from a scary scenario, from fear. And then our avoidance protecting strategies are fear-based. This fear is a complex old one which originates from our childhood and now manifests itself in our relationship shared sphere by holding us onto destruction that do not serve us. We just linger our unconscious and suck our bodily and psychologically energy. And we know by research that ingrained fear and uncertainty are byproducts of being exposed to manipulations and psychological abuse. So I really have respect for those of us who come to the bravery point of breakthrough at the end and just close that door forever, as it demands courage. As Nelson Mandela said, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph the triumph over it. This is true, and that is why I consider those who have finally become able to come out as advocates of healing, because they have registered in their bodies how it feels to be stuck, and how difficult the life can become when they struggle constantly to find a balance among their fighting parts, which compete to occupy spaces within their soul to balance. So if you really get help to tackle the underlying fear, then you will be out soon after. But if you are a person who finds this recognizable, please check out if you are driving your thoughts and arguments with self-deception and fear or not. Many of us may use arguments to make our unfair and destructive decisions to sound logical, but deep down, if we really talk honestly with ourselves and the vulnerable inner child of us, we know that it is self-deception and excuse. This is dangerous because, as I mentioned previously, you suppress that little kid's voice or of authenticity and wisdom. This will keep you trapped in destructive dynamics. So believe in your soul's and brain's capacity of rewiring and repairing its networks. It is challenging and painful, right? But it is possible and it's worth it. So please, if you are among those who are struggling with your relationship and your thoughts about leaving or not, try to get professional help. And if you cannot afford it, or you have other reasons for not having opportunity to reach out for help, use self-help stuff which are available out there and educate yourself on the topic. I say always to my clients who feel themselves stuck to try to find their voice of truth in their body and trust that. Remember that the key exists in your body, within that child inside you, but that shadow of fear is pulling you back. Please share your experience here with us. I hope that these reflections have given you the motivation to track your thoughts and ambitions more closely. I believe you will find